Hello and welcome to our live Premier League individual team preview where myself and Gonzo are sifting through the Premier League teams so you don't have to, giving our opinion on their transfer news so far and what we expect coming from next season. Now, last night we had a look at Chelsea, Bournemouth, Man City and Watford. So if you want to know our opinions on those teams, do check out our channel. Make sure you subscribe while there. But tonight, we're talking about West Ham's next 5 Premier League opponents in order. So let's kick off. Gonzo, let's go to the Hawthorns. We are looking at West Bromwich Albion. They've only made one signing so far, and that was Matt Phillips from QPR. If you were a West Brom fan, would you be renewing your season ticket?
Well, and don't forget they're just about to sell Berahino as well, of course. So it's only going to get worse, isn't it? Having said that, they're in for Sacco. Would I renew my season ticket? I probably would have thrown my season ticket in a bin the moment they got Tony Pulis. But let's not forget they've had a sort of series of boring managers over there, really, haven't they? They've had Hodgson there for a while, and obviously Steve Clarke, who was with us. So they're one of those clubs. I think they've done actually really well because they've been a yo-yo club and they've managed to cement their Premier League status for a little while. And Matt Phillips is a good player, by the way.
But how long can West Brom go? You said cement their Premier League status. It's almost like the cement between 15th and 17th every season. They probably finished higher than that last season, but it just feels like they're one of those sides that's always just sitting there, just waiting to fall through that trapdoor. A bit like Villa have done recently, and now they're finally through it. When do West Brom say enough's enough? Let's try and push on.
I don't think they can, and I don't think you do, because I think then you end up like Leeds or like Portsmouth. I think you overextend yourself. I think it's enough for West Brom. I've got no love for West Brom. I certainly got no love for their manager, who is, by all intents and purposes, as somebody said to me once, is Sam Allardyce with a baseball cap and chewing gum. Sorry, with a baseball cap minus the chewing gum, but they're okay. They're punching above their weight slightly, and they dream. We know about this. I mean, we've not even had one game in that new stadium yet, so I don't want to act like some lofty club with higher ambitions than them. We know about being a medium-sized club, and really, it'll be the same for them. They'll dream of winning the FA Cup and staying in the league.
Well, I want them to go down more than any other team. I'm fed up watching Tony Pulis. He's got a CV. He's a bit like Allardyce. He always points out he's never been relegated. There's nothing I would love more than for him to have relegation. But I'll tell you something. If they're near the bottom 3 come January, he will bail. He will get out of that club, and he will blame it on the fact that the club aren't bringing in the players he wants or whatever. He will find an excuse, and he will bugger off to keep his little reputation intact, and he will leave West Brom in trouble. He did it at Palace the day before the season kicked off, remember? He wasn't getting his way, so he threw his cap down and off he went and left Palace their manager the day before they kicked off against Arsenal in the Premier League. Can you see them going down then, Gonzo? Let's put your neck on the line. Are they going to finish in the bottom 3 as it stands?
No chance.
You think they'll be nice and safe, do you?
I do. And I mean, nice and safe. They'll win some. They'll lose some, they'll draw a lot, and they'll be safe. They'll get 45 points or something. That's what they'll do. It's West Brom. Unfortunately, it's not gonna. This particular review tonight or a preview of the season is not gonna have the razzmatazz, because last night we did Chelsea, we did City. West Brom, they're plodders, but you know what? That's gonna absolutely be fine for them. They've got a decent defence. They've got Olsen in defence, who's good. They've got a good goalkeeper. Darren Fletcher, of course. They bought Darren Fletcher, didn't they? Again, we were linked to him. Thank goodness we didn't get him. He's one of your countrymen. Sorry, I didn't mean to insult the nation of Scotland. But he's okay. They'll do okay.
I think they'll go. I think this is the season West Brom's luck catch up with them. And I do think it's luck. I think they just get a bit lucky that there's 3 crapper teams than them. And I think this is the time when the promoted sides are coming up. And bar one, I think we've got 2 really good. I think 2 of the promoted sides have got really good chances of staying up. Like we've just had this season, Bournemouth and Watford survive. I think we're going to see 2 survive again. That means 2 out of the 17 survivors are going down. I think West Brom's going to be one of them. I hope West Brom's going to be one of them. I will celebrate if West Brom get relegated, and I will wave cheerio to Tony Pulis. Thank God.
Well, sorry, just before you finish on West Brom, sometimes they don't even attack. There were a couple of games last season where I think they had no shots or something, or maybe no shots on target or something like that. They played a whole half without attacking the opposition, or there were some crazy bloody stats that came out of West Brom last season, and they lack ambition. It's that low expectation of the manager. I'll tell you what, in answer to your original question, what can they achieve? It's not about what they achieve. Actually, in many respects, we didn't achieve much for many, many years between 1980, the cup final, and well, we still haven't achieved. And we drop up and down divisions. But there were times when we had some players like Berkovic or Di Canio and many other flair players. Paolo Futre would come over, and that boy Danny, who was here for a while. We would actually have some entertaining football. So whilst we might not have contested the league, whilst 15th might have been fine, there was some entertainment on offer. We'd see some humdingers of matches. I mean, he's gonna bore the pants off of everybody to such an extent that he'll get enough points. I think if I was a West Brom fan, it wouldn't be the finishing position that would trouble me. It would be the brand of football on offer.
Yeah, well, let's hope we wave cheerio to West Brom. If you're watching, you disagree, well, you're going to agree with one of us. One of us is saying West Brom are going, one of us is staying. Do let us know down below in the YouTube comments or on our forum at hammerschat.com. Now, let's move on to a club. Every summer seems to sell their players, and everyone goes, oh, they're in trouble. And then they do better. Then it repeats the next summer. Now, this summer, they've done the same again, but they've also lost their manager. Let's look at Southampton, Gonzo. Do you feel sorry for them that people keep going, well, Liverpool keeps going down there and using them as a feeder club?
No, I don't feel sorry for them at all, actually. I don't like their fans very much, if the truth be known. They season before last, they were appalling. Their fans came up, was at the game, and they were actually, there was some young kids got set upon and stuff. They didn't behave themselves very well. Then we went down there last season. We lost 1-0. I think possibly when Yarma got sent off. It was a terrible game. It was down the south coast. It was blowing a hurricane in there, and again, very unwelcoming place. Actually, the stewards are not nice to you, and I didn't like it. I'd never feel sorry for Southampton, if the truth be known, for any reason.
Well, they've lost Mane, Wanyama, and then Pella. They've three big players they've lost this summer. You were a Saints fan. Would you be worrying, or would you be remembering the last two summers, going, well, hold on, we've done it the last two summers, and we've come back stronger. We'll do it again.
I think they've got that system. For those that listened yesterday, and we did our show yesterday, they've got that system. It's fronted by Les Reed. They've got an excellent youth academy, and they highlight and buy players. I know you don't like him. You saw him in Scotland. We've discussed him before. He played for Celtic. Virgil van Dijk, and he is a very, very good central defender. They plucked him out there. Yes, see that you're curling your lip up. He's a good player. Thou shall not pass, as Akabusi said, and he's got a touch of that about him. Mane is going to be a loss. Wanyama will be a loss, but they've got some good players there. And I think the key is, and a player I'd have loved to have seen come in, is they signed Nathan Redmond. Now, I would have liked Redmond ahead of Gurkan Tora, in all honesty. And I think if you look at the stats at the end of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if Redmond has got more goals and assists than Tora. I hope not, obviously. But I think we missed a trick there. I think he was there for the taking off Norwich, and they've got a very, very good replacement there. They've got Tadic. Tadic is a good player, creative player. Shane Long is a decent player on his day. And I can't think of the young lad, England under-21 international, plays in midfield, struggling to think of his name now.
James Ward-Prowse.
Ward-Prowse takes a really good free kick. And of course, again, they've got a very, very good goalkeeper, so they'll be all right. They can't match what they've done, but mid-table they'll be fine.
Funny enough, the two players I'm looking forward to seeing at Southampton you haven't mentioned, Charlie Austin. It's time, Charlie. It's time for him to finally start up front, and we wanted him up. Well, some of us did. He split a lot of opinions at West Ham. I think when obviously when our chairman came out and said that about his knee, etc. But I've always wanted to see him do well. I think he's got what it takes to be a really good Premier League striker. And now he can be the main man up front. I think this is his chance. And also, I hate this saying, right? When someone comes back from injury and they say, oh, it's like a new signing. But this guy's been out for so long, and he came back at the end of last season. That's Jay Rodriguez. Now, before he got injured, he was immense. He was absolutely incredible. One of the best players in the Premier League before he got his injury. And he's been linked for 25, 30 million pound moves, but because of his injury, everybody stayed away. And I almost think that people have missed a trick not going for him. And I like Shane Long as well. I think people have missed a trick going for him. And if he can go back to the form he was in before his injury, Southampton can have a really top season with them two up front, I think. But let's talk about the manager situation. We don't know the manager that's come in, but a huge loss for them.
Yeah, there was a thing on the radio today, and I don't know who was talking. I was in the motor. I turned the radio on, and somebody was talking about them being at Southampton and being in Les Reed's office. And so whoever it was on the radio had said to Les Reed, well, what do you do if you lose Ronald Koeman? And Les Reed had apparently said to him, well, you see that top drawer there? He said, yeah. He said, that is full of names that we go to straight away. There's a list that we work our way down. If Koeman is poached or leaves, we basically have a structure in place. It's a highly organised football club. And bear it in mind, they lost their director of football calendar last season, the chief executive, who had really done so much to put them where they were, and it's now they've got foreign ownership, and it's now I think the father died, a bit run by billionaires, and the father died, and it's now run by the daughter. And they're a very, very well-run club. So whoever the new guy is, he'll have been extensively scouted, make no mistake about it. And we've got a guy on the forum, Herbie Hammer, who'll be familiar to everybody. Herbie Hammer runs youth football teams, and Southampton have taken one of his players from his youth football team, and he was absolutely raving about the club. How they invited him down as his youth football coach just to show him, say, we're going to look after your player. And he said the structure in there in terms of youth football and the setup and the training pitches, and he said it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, he's a big West Ham fan, and he can't stop raving about the setup they got down there. So they're prepared.
And finally, where do you expect them to finish then? They finished 6th last season. It'd be very difficult to get there again, but can they do it?
No, not 6th. No. 9th or 10th, let's say.
I'll agree with that one. I'll be impressed if West Ham finish above them. I think we'll be roughly thereabouts, round about each other, and that's no bad thing. Now let's move on to our first promoted side. I think we're ready to discuss our first promoted side, and that is Middlesbrough. Now, if there's one promoted side that comes up and gets the big names in, it's this side, isn't it? They're not hanging about in the transfer market, are they?
No, but they need to work hard. Of course, big signing that everyone will have known about is Negredo, who we were linked with. He proved he could do it at Man City. Went to Valencia. But they were a club in turmoil, were doing really, really badly, and then they hired Gary Neville and did even worse. So I think it's actually Gary Neville's business partner is the owner of Valencia, so he was put into that awkward position where he had to sack his mate. And so Negredo's come from Valencia. Our own Stuart Dowling was there, actually. We got a little bonus. We sold him for 5 million, and we'd get an extra 1.5 or 2 million if we got promoted, which of course they did. So we actually we benefited from their promotion. It looks like they've made a bid today for 5 million for, I think, Hull City's left back. So yeah, they're not standing still.
Victor Valdez in goal as well. They've also got Villas Guzan, so it's a decent, two dodgy-ish keepers, but they could be good on their day, I suppose. They signed someone for 12 million. I can't remember who it was, and they've also took in someone from Ajax, so they're certainly not hanging about. Do you think they'll be safe? They certainly decide that everybody thinks they'll do well out of the 3 promoted ones, but is that just a bit of a easy thing to say, just because you're looking at what they're doing in the transfer market?
I think there's a difference between spending 12 million and spending 12 million wisely. So just spending 12 million doesn't guarantee you anything. I mean, Ross McCormack's moved again today, hasn't he? I think he's gone to Aston Villa for 14. So I think you can buy a pretty average player these days for 12 million. So it's really how you spend it. You're only as good as your strikers, really. And it's all going to hinge on Negredo, quite frankly.
What about Jordan Rhodes? He's at last in the Premier League. Is it about time we've seen if this guy can step up?
Why? It's an uncertainty, isn't it? I think that's why It's like with the Tottenham guy. Tottenham have signed Janssen. Yeah, I mean, he might be good, but we've seen the guy that signed for Middlesbrough, funny enough, Alves. He was banging in goals, I think, for FC20 in Holland. Didn't really do it. Kesman came over, didn't really do it. Van Nistelrooy did. Suarez did. It's hit and miss when you sign these players who look like they've performed in an overseas league, and you don't know. So I mean, it's going to be hard to tell. To be honest with you, I think in many respects they'd be better off signing the lad Gray from Burnley if they could have prized him away. At least you know.
What are you talking about? Jordan Rhodes is from the Championship. What are you talking about overseas for?
Oh, Jordan Rhodes. I'm sorry.
Coming from?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the guy that's been scoring for fun for Blackburn.
No. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, played for Blackburn, and what was it? He's Scottish, isn't it? Well, he's not Scottish at all. He's English, but he plays for Scotland. I think they signed him for 14 million, didn't they?
Yeah, but is it about time we see him in the Premier League? Because he's cut it at that level for a long. Season in, season out, he's been hitting 20 goals, but no one takes a punt on him because it's so expensive to buy in England. So, is this his one chance?
Only if he's in a partnership. I think Jordan Rhodes is a poacher. I think he lacks pace, though. So I think he needs to play with a partner. I think that's the reason people haven't perhaps taken a punt on him. I think he just lacks that final last bit of quality that's going to make him stand out and do something special. In many respects, I think you mentioned Charlie Austin earlier. I think Charlie Austin probably thrives most in a partnership as well, because I think he moves into space well, he finishes well, he's got good awareness, but I think he lacks that outright pace as well that it takes to be a striker on your own. I think if you're a striker on your own, you're either a very, very good target man, or you either come short to receive the ball or you dart in behind the defence. So I think if Jordan Rhodes, I don't think so. I think a better club would have picked him up by now if he was going to do anything. I think, funny enough, like his compatriot, like Ross McCormack, he's a Championship player.
I think he'll score more than Negredo. I'll say that. I'm going to put my neck on the line here. I just remember Rhodes with Guested up front for Blackburn. And Negredo's not that far off Guested, but I think he's only scored 6 goals in the last 18 months, Negredo. So I don't know why everyone's getting all excited about him. He did well at Man City, but he's disappeared off the radar a little bit, so I'm not too fussed for him. I'm more excited to see Jordan Rhodes personally. Lastly, on Middlesbrough, before we move on, are they safe? Are they going down? Put your neck on the line.
No, for the reason I said, I think they're going down. I think you're only as good as your strikers, and I don't think, or your attackers, and I just don't think they've got enough. I'm certainly not excited. I didn't mean to say I was excited by Negredo. If he scores more than Negredo, brilliant. I mean, I don't think Negredo might score 3 goals. Jordan Rhodes will do well to get 10 in the Premier League, and I don't think he'll get that many. So no, they're going down. You can put them in room 101. I
think they'll stay up. I don't think they're going to stay up comfortably, but I don't think they're going to be in grave danger going down. I think they're going to be West Brom this season, where they're never at that bottom 3. They're always sitting 15th-ish. I think they'll stay up. So there you go. Difference of opinions again with me and Gonzo's. Let us know what you're thinking. You're watching. Let us know what you think. Is Middlesbrough staying up, and do you rate their strikers? But let's talk about someone who's got a former West Ham manager, and they've got a former West Ham centre-back / right-back who we could probably do with right now. Let's move on to Crystal Palace. Another side that's been quite impressive in the transfer market, and it looks like they're just not quite finished yet until they get a big man up front.
Yeah, but they're going to get their big man up front. They are going to get a forward because they've got money. I know a lot about Crystal Palace. Best friend is a Crystal Palace fan. So we got Steve Parish is the chairman, but they have had recent investment. He's a very, very good chairman, Parish, as well. So Scott Dan is a good centre-back. So next to Scott Dan, they're going to play James Tompkins. I think it's a sound, solid partnership. They've got, his name is Suarez. It's not spelt like Suarez. It looks like it's spelt Soares, but it's got a funny pronunciation. Fullback, very, very good. But just listen to this. Balassi, Cabaye, Punchin, Townsend, and Zaha. They are good attacking players. They get that centre forward. I got a little we're judging us because we've not spent our money yet. Okay, rumor had it that West Ham had. Normally, last few seasons, West Ham have spent 35 million, okay, in the last 2 transfer summers. So this is a bigger TV deal. Oh, excuse me. This is a bigger TV deal. So you'd have to anticipate that we have more than 35 million. So let's say we had 40 million. Tompkins, 10 million. If Sacco goes, that takes it up to 65, 70 million, minus the 5 million for Gherkin. We've got a lot of money in the bank, okay? So you can't judge us yet until we've made the signings. But as it stands, as of today, I think Crystal Palace would finish ahead of us.
You've also missed James McArthur. I think he's a very underrated player in the Premier League. I think he helps Crystal Palace tick. He's one of those players that you don't notice until you sit and watch them and you think, why is Crystal Palace, why is Balassi, why is Zaha off the boil today? It's usually because he's like the cog in the middle of the pitch, and I think Crystal Palace need him. And you're also wiping out their captain, Delaney, as well, who's a very good centre-back. Tompkins will do well too, but he is quite old. But they are a very well-organised team. Do you think Dwight Gale didn't get a chance at Crystal Palace? He's gone to Newcastle for 10 million. I think I'm not saying he's good enough for the likes of West Ham, maybe not good enough for Crystal Palace, but I certainly think he's good enough for the Premier League. I just don't think he's been given a chance.
Pardew doesn't like him. Pardew doesn't like him. You were with me in that press conference last season, and Pardew walked. We went in, and it was the first time we'd ever been into a West Ham press conference, wasn't it? It was fantastic. And Pardew came, and he was really, really friendly. I think Payet had scored that goal, and he was really enthusiastic about it and spoke really kindly about the club. Pardew spoke very nicely about West Ham. But Gale had come on and scored. I think the equaliser, was it 2-2 or so? I think it was something like that. I think Gale had come off the bench and done well. But in the previous game, Gale had been sent off. So I think there was a certain... I think Kiate possibly got sent off in that game for us. So he came on, and one of the journalists was, when they were sat down in front of us, asked him about Dwight Gale. And even though Dwight Gale had played a blinder, you could tell he was really trying to force out a compliment. It was very, very, he was damning him with faint praise, but it was a backhanded compliment. And as we were stood there with Alan, weren't we? And I said to Alan at the time, he doesn't like him. He clearly doesn't like him. So it was no surprise he got sent off, but that he got shipped out to Newcastle. But he's a decent striker. He's quick as pants, and he'll score goals. He'll score lots of goals for Newcastle. But did he get a raw deal? Yeah, probably. But sometimes you just get a clash of characters in football clubs. And I think Gale and Pardew. Also, I think Pardew likes a more rounded. He plays with one striker up, and he likes a more rounded striker. And Gale, he's very small, very skinny, very fast. He'll lead the line, but he won't hold the line, if you know what I mean, and bring others into play. Well,
they've certainly got rid of a few big earners at the club. Hangeland, Adebayor, Shamak. They've got rid of a few players that were on decent wages. So that's probably why they've got so much money. But what's the aim for Crystal Palace then this season? Let's talk, as I'm going to keep making you pretend you're a fan of the opposition, but if you were a Palace fan and you're looking today, what are you expecting for next season?
Oh, listen, I say my best mate's a Crystal Palace fan. I hear it every day, texts and all the rest of it. I know exactly what's going. They've got a really good fan base as well. They make a lot of noise in their stadium. I think they can do something this year. I think they can win a cup, or I think they can get top 6 or 7. If they get that striker, as I say, we're speaking before we've seen everybody do their final business. If you're talking about people doing their business. If they get the striker, they bid for Batshuayi. They were looking at Sacco themselves, and they're looking at Benteke as well. If they get a striker, if they do manage to sign someone decent for 30 million, they'll be challenging 6 or 7. They'll be nicking Southampton's place basically, or even ours.
I think they'll finish top 10, and I think they should be happy with that because it's steady progress. I knew there was someone you were forgetting to mention. It's Sacco, that winger they signed from Wolves. I like him. I want to see more of him this year. They've got too much wingers almost. Right, let's move on to our final team we're going to discuss tonight. And that is, I was looking forward to seeing this team at the Olympic Stadium for a certain reason, but that reason is no longer viable. It's David Moyes' new side, Sunderland. They've not signed a player yet. Are Sunderland going into after the season's finished, should Sunderland not be the club going out and buying players ASAP?
No, not ASAP. Not if they were right to keep their powder dry, knowing that Big Sam was going to leave and go with the England jobs. They were right to wait for Moyes and wait for him to get his feet under the table and really suss out what he needs. I think actually Stephen Pienaar is training with him, so Stephen Pienaar will be signing with him the next couple of days. Kone, their centre back. I mean, it's not so much who they bring in. It's first of all he's got to keep players. Kone. Allardyce brought him in, very, very good centre-back, excellent centre-back. They got I think his name was Yedin. Was it Yedin? Was that the guy that does the deliveries and takes the free kicks? He's a good player. Defoe's very good. And they got young Watmore coming up from the academy. But if we just touch on Moyes for a second, I think Moyes has got a point to prove. I think Moyes is a good manager. And I think for too much in this country, we're critical of people that try and fail. But, Europe is full of coaches that try and fail. And he is going to absolutely be a better manager. But having gone out to Spain and increasing his knowledge, you would have seen different coaching styles and he'll have a knowledge of players. He'll bring in a player or two from Spain. And I think he'll be an improved manager for going out and doing that. And he's got a point to prove. And I think he's a decent manager.
Well, they've released a lot of the deadwood anyway. Danny Graham, Wes Brown, Steve Harper. Stephen Fletcher, I love him myself. Like I'm sorry to see him leave the Premier League. But they've shipped out a lot of the dead wood. So Moyes he should have a decent financial little package there waiting for him to spend. They've kept the main players, not that there is much of them, but Defoe's there. He's kind of stayed away from being linked anywhere. Let's do this again. You're a Sunderland fan. What are you thinking for next season? Just survive and kick on from there, or?
Yeah, I mean, just, you know what? Like, if they could just cut the squeaky bum time out of their season. So it's Di Canio in, it's panic, it's Advocate in, it's panic. Before that, Poyet, panic. Big Sam, panic. I think they've done the right thing. I think Sam did his remit. I think he fulfilled what he was meant to do. He kept him up, and that's it. I think. Do you know what? In all honesty, even if he hadn't got the England job, would have got rid of him anyway, because the last thing you need is that man buying lots of players, because before our board stepped in and started buying players like Cresswell, Kiate and Sacco, everyone that we bought before that, he was making a loss on people like Maiga and Diarra. He was just bringing in people who were absolute tosh, to be honest with you. So I think he's done them a favour. The fans would have been upset, oh no, we're leaving Big Sam, but I think they've got a better manager now, who's going to be able to prepare them from the start of the season. And I don't think they'll be in trouble at all. First 6 games, 7, 8 games, when the league starts to balance out, what's going to happen. First game, a couple of the promoted teams are going to win against teams they shouldn't, and because everyone's very excited. But as I say, once it starts, the season starts balancing out, I think you'll find Sunderland will never be in trouble.
I think for the first time in a few years, they've got a manager who's just going to butt in it and behave. Di Canio, Allardyce, they're all mouth. They're in a relegation battle and they're on the back pages spouting something or another. Usually it's about staying up, and they're trying to play mind games with their upcoming opponent. I remember when they were going to play Newcastle, and it was all week I read Allardyce and Benitez just going at each other. I wanted to read about the team news, not about the managers, but I think it's about time Sunderland had a manager who's just going to zip it, step back, let other managers do the bickering, and he's just going to get on and do his business. Part of that business is getting rid of the players they've got rid of and just be stabilised. He's got a huge club up there. Sunderland have got a big fan base. They're well enough run. They're a club that actually I just look at and I think if only you had players that you used to have like Kevin Phillips and that sort of mould, you'd actually be all right. So you think they're going to be safe, but long term, how long do you give Moyes to just be safe until you say, right, we need something? Because Moyes is a long-term manager. I think he's the type of manager, he will give you commitment, he will give you loyalty. He did it at Everton for 10 years before he took the biggest job in the world, arguably, in football. What's the long-term plan for Sunderland?
There can't be a long-term plan. Sunderland will have to maintain a status quo until the point where they are taken over by big money, because just staying in the league is the be-all and end-all for clubs like that. And we've discussed a few of them today. We had the doom-mongers and the naysayers saying we needed to be careful what we wished for. We needed to get rid of Sam, be careful what you wish for. But actually, timing was right for us, because we were coming into a bit of a purple patch where our recruitment was starting to bear fruit, and we were about to become bigger than the club we'd traditionally been. So we're moving to this new stadium, and it was happening, coinciding at a time where there's more money coming in and our recruitment was starting to improve. So I don't think, as far as we were concerned, it was wise to be careful what we wished for, because I do think we had another level to go above, and we're starting to look towards that now. I don't think Sunderland have that. Unless they get taken over, then you can absolutely forget it, because Sunderland will not have the natural growth. You're right, Sunderland's support is absolutely sensational. And you think, I think the town of Sunderland has something like 150,000 people live in Sunderland, or so it's something like that, 150,000, 200,000. When you consider that sometimes 40,000 people go into that stadium, well, crikey, a quarter of the town go to games. Well, that's huge, and that is dedication. But it would be pointless Sunderland building a 60,000 seat stadium, because they would never fill it. And so what's the long-term ambition? What's the long-term strategy? Stay as they are, and don't get relegated, and don't get sucked into those panic stations. Have a sustained run, and you never know. Some point, someone might win an FA Cup, and that's got to be the dream. That's got to be the dream. It's still my dream to win the FA Cup.
Where do you predict they'll finish next season? Then you're saying they're going to be safe. I'm saying they're going to be safe. Where do you see them finishing up?
16th, 15th.
I'll say about 14th, 15th. I think they'll be comfortable. And I think Moyes and Sunderland have got a very experienced squad, I think. I think they've got a lot of experienced heads in there. And I think that showed at the end of last season when Alves took over. I think a lot of the people who had seen it all and done it all in football stepped up to the plate. Whether it's John O'Shea, don't even laugh. He played well for Sunderland last year. John O'Shea at the back, or Defoe up front. You had players with a load of experience. I think that tied in with a very, very experienced manager is something at Sunderland. I think they could be a surprise contender. I wouldn't be surprised if they're a lot closer to the top 10 than people think.
Well, it's like we said about the strikers, where we were speaking about Middlesbrough and some of the other teams. Your strikers are pivotal. You're only as good as your strikers, and they do have a good striker in Jermaine Defoe. And maybe they could sign that Jordan Van Rhodes from Holland as well, of course.
Perhaps, maybe. But anyway, that's our teams we'll be looking at tonight. Let us know if you agree or disagree with anything, especially if you're a fan of one of these teams. Apologies if we've offended you. You can let us know in our YouTube comments below, or on our forum at hammerschat.com. Now, we will be back on Friday night at 8:30. We will be discussing Everton, Stoke, Spurs, and Manchester United. Gonzo won't be here. Gonzo's on holiday, so I'll be joined by someone else from Hammers Chat, and we will be digging into these quite big teams, actually, and it'll be very interesting to see what we think of Tottenham Hotspur. How honest can we be? Make sure you subscribe to our channel here at Hammers Chat. Thank you for watching our experiment, and we'll see you next time.